Hey yo, welcome Dominic.
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
All right.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Um, Nice to meet you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate for the time and coming up here, Dominic.
Yep.
Where are you based right now so the audience will know where you're working?
Oh, I'm based out of San Ramon, California, United
Ah,
States. Yeah. How
see.
about yourself?
I'm in North Carolina right now. I try to move to California by the end of summer. Tell me a little bit about California.
What is there to tell? Well,
Yeah.
California it's kind of a interesting place to live. I mean, I've lived here all my life. It's very diverse. Weather's pretty good. We don't really get any extremes. It gets pretty, it gets hot, gets a little cold, but nothing like in other parts of the U.S. where we see snow and we see like desert type of heat.
Mm.
Pretty laid back. A lot of creatives are over here, and you're not too far from one major place. 20, 30 minutes away from the, big city, and then at 2 hours away from the mountains. So it's kind of a cool place to live.
So, as a native in California, how do you feel the state condition right now with all the things that have been popping on Instagram lately?
Are you talking about the political climate in California? I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, we're very diverse. I just try to stay away from just the drama, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and focus on being creative, focus on my family, focus on sustainability, just whatever will keep me providing for my family. I guess that's kind of like my main focus is what I need to do for my family, for my work, and for my art. And I just respect everybody, whatever their political stance is. We all kind of have a middle ground, and it's just about working together, I guess.
The thing is, it's kind of sad to see in the past short years, so many people moved out of California. Even there's people with a license plate from California right now live in that neighborhood. And I'm asking them why are they moving out of California? It seems to be such a wonderful place. The first thing they say is just the living expenses is much higher in California versus a place like North Carolina. Is that true?
That's 100% true. Yeah. Yeah. It's, just working with a lot of people from out of state, when I tell them how much rent is for like if you rent a place where I live, it's going to start, like a 3-bedroom house with 2 bathrooms, anywhere from 1,000 to 2,400 square feet. You're looking at around 4,000 a month.
Ooh, okay. That's pretty.
you know,
Ooh, okay. That's like double whatever it is right here.
yeah.
With
Yeah.
4,000, you can live in downtown in a penthouse with that much money.
Exactly. That's what they're saying. So it's a trade-off, right? You pay all this money, but then, it's really up to you to decide if it's worth it, right?
Does
Yeah.
it give you a lot of true opportunity to get jobs? Like art related, music job, producing job that you are good at in California with that much competition? Because everybody seems to move there for the same thing.
Yeah, I guess if you need to be face to face, yeah, it is because, it kind of happens, Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, things like that. But everyone just has access now, especially after the pandemic. And that's kind of like when I started music back up again, right? During
Oh.
the COVID lockdown.
So what did you
And
do before?
so I started doing music since 1997, and I stopped around like 2006 or 2010 maybe is when I stopped really working on music, and I just you know continued with my career in like tech, right? And I'm still in my regular nine to five is
I was waiting for I was one of the early investor of Apple Silicon. I'm saying, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that from Dominic. I said like, back then I was my own.
Well, I mean, I'm in tech engineering side of the industry. So I see a lot of like, the new innovations in technology, AI, stuff like that. I work with the big players like that on the engineering side. So I was focused on that, and also, starting a family, raising a family, and when coronavirus lockdown, a lot of people were stuck at home, had a lot of extra time. People were also feeling isolated, so they're proactively reaching out to each other. And then some artists that I worked with in the past just like happened to reach out and saying, "Hey, are you still doing music?" I said, "No, but that'd be kind of cool to start." And it kind of just snowballed from there. I took it as like a way to escape. Also, like my daughter was sick at the time, so she was going through like treatment, and I was kind of using it as an escape as well to get over like depression and things like that. And then it just kind of snowballed. I started hooking up with other, social media is just like that platform's crazy. You connect with so many different people that you never would have connected with, and a lot of people, like I connected a lot with different artists on social media, Instagram specifically, and we just started collaborating just for the hell of it, and it just kind of snowballed. And now last year, 2024, I produced over 32 releases.
Ooh.
With different, various artists. I've had some, sync placements. I had a song that was on NBA, the video game NBA 2K24.
No way.
Yeah, so I have a song on there with Drake Carter and Twista, who's a pretty well-known hip hop artist. And yeah, it's just kind of like that. And I'm working on a few projects right now. Had a recent placement at a Netflix show. I can't say which one yet because I'm under NDA. But then certain things like that. Yeah.
Do you have a formal background in audio engineering, Dominic?
I don't, but just work, being kind of a tech geek myself. I really went hard into learning, and it's very interesting to me, right? So, plus I had background in Pro Tools and Logic and Ableton back in the days. So I kind of just took my base knowledge of that, and then really leaned into it. And it's really true as far as like putting in the hours, right? When you spend I think they say when you spend like 10,000 hours on working on and mastering something, you become kind of like a master at it, right? And just mixing so many songs through the last 3 years, I've learned a lot, and YouTube is great. So yeah, now it's something that I guess I'm really good at.
I mean, it's true. It's so good to hear that from you, because you start from a position that many of us try to do, which is learn by ourselves and master the craft as we grow our art, like making more songs and learn from that with no other trainings. So can you help me understand that I'm mainly trained to be a player? I trained to be on stage and play guitar. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So when it comes to studio work, my knowledge of the equipment, mixing, mastering, recording, I bet we're not as good as you.
Yeah, I don't know.
So is it true
yeah.
to have an engineering? So what is the difference between hiring someone like you to work on a record with an artist than actually hiring an engineering that have a degree in audio to work with an artist?
Yeah, well, a degree is, it's kind of just like a validation or certification that proves that you've done your time and you can do it, right? But then there's also experience, and your work, your catalog kind of just is your certification, your validation that you can do it, right? So I think I lean more into that, where I just spent so much time actually on the job doing it, right? And I don't have any like certifications or degree on audio engineering to show for that, but I do have a catalog. I have, word of mouth, and it's also being able to work with people, right? You can be so technically knowledgeable and capable, but if you get in a room with an artist to record them and you just don't have that connection, you can't make them feel comfortable to be able to perform their best and get that performance out of them. You're useless, really.
Dang. Dang, get that straight from Dominic. If you can't work with people, you are useless.
Yeah,
Straight up.
much. Yeah, I mean, it's all about working, getting the best performance or work from people. And anybody can do that. It's just, obviously, if you don't know the DAW you're working on and you're fumbling around with your equipment, that kills the vibe right there.
See.
So being able to know that and be able to remove that friction during that state so that you can get into that flow, then yeah. So yeah, you do need that technical background and being able to remove that friction of setting up and making it invisible, right? The technical parts invisible for the artist is a big thing.
Can you have a measurement on yourself right now on how far you can reach, on how far you can go with your technical skill right now? For an example, can you make music for, let's say, a premiere movie, like the Ballerina movie that just came out? Can you make music at that level?
For a Ballerina movie, probably not, because I'm not like, as far as like composing, right? I would assume that would require composing a score. Scoring wouldn't be within my scope, right? Right? Because that's a different level of understanding music and composing and being also able to, an instrumentalist, right? I could play a keyboard, but not in a sense like how you could play a guitar on a stage in front live and stuff like that. I'm not a player like that. Right. But then I have production skills and tools that I can get there. But, this is a different beast. And I'm not ashamed to say that's out of my scope. And part of a producer is taking a vision and then taking or bringing whatever you need to, whether if it's tools, people, to execute that and deliver it. A producer doesn't mean they have to do every single step of the way. Is having that vision and then pulling whatever you need to do, whether it's people, tools, together to deliver that vision. That's what I think the definition of a producer is.
Because a few years ago, I still in the mud of understanding the word beat producer. Because when Trap Beat going out and everybody was really hyped about it, everybody walking around as 18-year-old, 20-year-old with a backpack and a laptop, and they call themselves beat producer because they can make a beat in their bedroom. Yeah, but when it comes to, understanding of the whole spectrum, there's different level of the beat. There's regular beat to listen to, and there's stuff that you can put in quality products. There's two different worlds, very different.
Yeah, and funny you say that because the more I work with like established people in the industry on the actual production side, they don't typically consider those type of producers as producers.
Oh wow.
They typically consider them as, and for me, I don't care. It's like you do whatever you do, but like they consider them as beat makers. So like there's a distinction between a beat maker and an actual producer.
See.
Beat maker is just you make beats, right? And then you sell your beats. You get artists to go on your beats. You may do a little bit of like mixing and mastering on a base level, but then a producer like gets involved with like the performance side too, right? Like having input and having some kind of control of how the artist performs the vocal parts too, right?
Oh.
Yeah, there's some direction that's given by the producer. Basically, like I said, it's like has the vision of the song or whatever it is, and then brings it to form and delivery. So that's kind of like my definition, and what I'm kind of aligned with a lot of people that's the definition of a producer.
So it's good to from a person like you who work with professional to actually say that on the air, to make all these young people understand that just because you can make stuff on your computer, it does not make you become a beat producer just like that. It's
It's just a title. It's just, it's just a description. You can, these kids are amazing, dude. Like,
They are great. I'm not saying that they are not
freaking
great.
dope. Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, if you're a producer, right? It's just,
Because right now, what I'm trying to understand for the audience and for myself too is, I know how to make beat and I know how to write song. But when it comes to delegation, when I try to move up another level, I cannot do all that stuff at the same time and practice 5 hours a day with my band, with the live musician, and then playing. That's too much work for me. I don't have enough hours in a day to do that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to entrust someone to be on my team, to understand, okay, this is an album I want to create. I know what you are capable of doing. So when I have my band over, we record what section is live, what section is going to be produced by you, what people we're going to call. Is that what the producer is for? Someone that I can delegate my creative vision to him, and he going out there and gathering the people that match the category.
Yeah. It's definitely someone who you collaborate with. Not so much delegate, but like collaborate with to help you deliver that vision. Yeah.
I'm always trying to understand very technically, when do we need to have someone to be on the team to produce the best result we can produce? Because out here, everybody work in a team. Nobody is success by themselves.
Yeah.
So I want to know, okay, when is it time to call Dominic? That's right. Like, when is it time to call Dominic to be on the team?
Honestly, a lot of artists are their own producers, right? So it's, to me, when there is maybe an idea or a concept already, because there's a lot of times where I'll come up with a concept and then I send them to artists, and we build off that. Like, if they like it and they're like, yeah, I like that idea, well, let's build off of it. Then we take it there. Some producers get involved in the writing side too, right? Writing, whether it's music writing or lyric writing. It's I think it's always great to have a producer involved very early.
Okay.
Just in my experience, yeah.
So let's get into the real stuff, the one that everybody talking about at the end of the day. Is how do we make money when the music is finished and on the computer? At that point, how do you get paid, Mr. Dominic, with an artist that you're working with? Or you get paid upfront or by loyalty after that?
Some royalties is always a part of it, right?
See?
But then there are instances where I just get paid up front, and then I get a smaller cut in the back.
See?
But if you say you're doing this professionally or as a business, then there needs to be, you don't work for free.
Absolutely not.
Right? And a lot of times it is upfront. And that's the reason why I like doing sync work, because it's all upfront. You get a sync fee. So like when I got my song on NBA 2K24, they paid me a sync fee up front, and then you get back end as well. And you keep the rights to your music. Whereas if you work for a label, maybe, they own everything for the most part.
It is. And that's the thing, is like nobody educate the young artists about when they sign with a record deal. I mean, they start to get more popular when all these
Yeah.
major artists coming out and spill the tea and talking
Yeah.
about when you make a beat or you make a song, especially when you're a rapper, you do not own the master. Lil Baby say that, the Baby say that, DJ Khaled say that. Everybody in the game started spilling the tea of what is actually going on behind the scene when some of these people take out the advancement and then question why don't I get enough royalty for my master to pay back the debt? Because you
Yeah.
don't actually own it. You don't do anything with it. You own penny on a dollar on the master
Yeah.
you make.
And a lot of times you don't make any money until you make up that advance that they give you, right? They give you, they set a threshold, like you need to make this much money off this, or we need to make this much before you can start making money for yourself.
Correct.
So yeah, you like, I was never signed to a label or anything like that, but I know people that have, and yeah, it's you got to really pay attention to the contract language, and that's why you should have a entertainment lawyer as well. Also, you should try to, if you're really trying to get out there and find opportunities, have maybe look into having an agent as well. Like in sync, having a sync agent that has the connections with like music supervisors and showrunners like that is kind of like a cheat code, right? But yeah, kind of like threading the needle to how do you make money, right, with the music. There's so many different ways, especially with social media. A lot of people are capitalizing on streaming, right? A big one for me is the sync music. And you just, keep making music and you'll get royalties, like build a big catalog. Eventually you'll run into a hit, hopefully. And then maybe your catalog will be so big and good that maybe a label will say, I want to buy your catalog, your publishing, that's another thing. Or you could sell it to artists.
See? So the understanding of a catalog is important because that is a long-term game. You build your reputation over time, you have enough songs, and you make enough of your credit on the market that everybody trusts your music and willing to listen to your music.
Yeah.
But how about a young person that, let's say, they just get out of high school, they love to join the music industry, whether they want to become someone on the left side, which is making beat, producing in the studio, or becoming an artist, be a person that is on stage. What is your advice if someone want to start out, and as we already know right here, is to be able to be success in the market, you need to have at least something to prove, like a catalog or an album.
Yeah.
How do they that when they have no knowledge, no money, and no connection? There's like no everything. How are they doing that without, have to go out take another side job?
I mean, the access we have now is insane compared to when I first was trying to do it back in the late 90s and early 2000s.
See?
Right before then, to release something, whether it's CDs or whatever, right, you need to know someone who knew how to release stuff, right? Now anyone can release anything. There's DistroKid, there's TuneCore. You just upload it, and then it's in the stores. It's on the Spotify. It's on Apple. It's so easy, right? We have all these AI tools that you don't need to hire a graphic designer to make your covers. There's even AI in music, right? Which is a big topic right now, especially with Timbaland, right?
We're gonna go to it in a minute. Absolutely.
But just to make it quick, you just have to put your music out there. The hardest thing is to complete, like when you're first starting, is to complete a song and feel comfortable, confident enough to release it, right? A lot of people have so much music that they're not releasing because they just don't feel confident enough to finish it up and release it, right? You have to kind of start somewhere, right? And you just have to level up each time in your journey. But the thing is, if you're not releasing anything, no one's gonna, and you're waiting to build up a big catalog and drop it. I don't know, man. You need to start small, build your following, and then they will grow as you grow, I think is the best way. If you're independent, yeah.
See, I'm still very trying to think in my meathead. I try to think in a very steak and potato way. Or like, if I decided to do something, that should be the only thing that I'm doing. I should not go work in the farm in the morning and then go back at night work on the beat. It just make no sense. In the sense, just like very simply, I understand in my child brain is that
No,
you know
yeah.
why am I have
I
to do something I don't like to wait for the thing that I like to do. Like I'm just thinking like that, very simple.
Yeah, if you can, this is my advice is if you can have also a job to financially support yourself because make money and music at the very beginning is almost zero, right? And if you think you're going to spend all your hours working on music, you're going to go broke, you're going to get discouraged and you're going to get desperate, and then you're going to drop music and find just another job.
It's so
Right.
hard to hear that, Dominic. You're gonna destroy
Yeah.
so many young kids' dreams. Just like you're gonna be broke for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be people that'll kill it at the beginning and don't have to work an hour, but then the 90% of us, I include myself in that 90%, is like you have to have another career. Like you need to have a career or a job, whatever, to make money and support yourself to live, and then you dedicate a part of your hours on music. Like for me, I only spend 2 to 3 hours a day making music,
See?
and that's from 4 a.m. in the morning until maybe 7 a.m. in the morning.
Oh
And then
wow.
the rest of that I spend on my family and work. That's all the hours I spend on music. It's
You say you
about
work
3
from
hours.
4 a.m. That's very early in the morning.
I start working on music 4 a.m.
Oh
and then
wow.
I stop 6 to 7 a.m.
Understandable, man. That's work ethic right there. Telling you,
Yeah,
real
kind
thing.
of have to have that to make it. Yeah,
Because another thing that I'm trying to learn, and I want to have people like you to give me fact checked to make sure that I'm on the right way because you are doing it for real. I might be in a pipeline of dreams, but you already done it. So have someone like you to check what I'm saying out is very benefit for the people that listen to this who want to do art professionally. Is what is the right step to make when you start to pursuing this instead of just go blinded and then fall and don't know why you fail. It's just a very harsh truth like that.
yeah. I'm trying to understand. I think I understand your question. Is you're saying what are the steps or what's the?
So we trying to figure out the right step to take when we try to pursue art professionally.
Yeah, I mean it's different for each person, right? But you have to love what you're doing, right? And you have to be comfortable in making mistakes and failing, because the majority of us will. Like I'm on my second go around with music, right? My first go around failed, right? I basically quit music, right?
How
So
does
there you go.
How does that feel to you when you decide to drop it? Is it something you feel like, oh man, someone just stabbed me with a knife? It's just like so painful to let it go.
Yeah, it did kind of feel like, damn, like waste of talent or waste of passion. And then I did lose that passion, so it wasn't like too hard for me to drop it, because
Is
I
it
wasn't going anywhere, right?
is it
Because there's
money? Is that money is the root cause of that because you don't see where you're going?
money and just exposure, right? Because you want kind of like instant gratification for what you're doing, right? Or instant feedback. Like I said back then, I didn't know there wasn't any like YouTube tutorials on how to release music, how to market music, who do you need to talk to get your music out there. So I was making music, I was performing with my band. We had a band, but then that was kind of it, right? And then the way to monetize music was, getting gigs, and you get paid for gigs,
See.
trying to sell your CDs at the gig, and maybe trying to get more shows outside of your local area, right?
See.
But then your world was so small back then because you didn't have the same reach as you have now, where you can go to social media, and then, I like me and you. How did we connect? Social media, right?
Correct.
So I would have never ever met you or connected with you some other way, right? So yeah, it's just it's so I think the access we have now is one thing. You can really get to your dream or your goal much faster, but at the same time, we're also competing with more people.
I try to understand music at a very core level. That's why I went to school and studied music. Because before I went to school, I know there's a thing called YouTube. And many people on YouTube say go to school for music, it's just a waste of time and money. and I do agree to a level. So let's say half of my degree is academics and half of my degree is music performance. The academic side, you can basically get all that information from YouTube. I agree. Or paid side for much less money of people making you graphic video teaching you about a subject that you want to learn.
Yeah.
However, here's what I said about musical performance. The great things when you go to a university where it's a conservatory, that's where I went to, where people delegate all of their time to play, to master an instrument, is that you train like an athlete. You train to understand why you are up there holding the instrument a certain way, how to perform with your body condition, because everybody have a different body. So you have to learn on how to use your body to the best, to avoid injury, to perform long hour, and produce the best musical sound that you can create with your instrument. So with that aspect, for me to get out of school with a degree, I feel very comfortable wiggling around the guitar because I know the technical side of how it works and how mentally I need to prepare to play this instrument. So I feel like I can own this thing. No problem. However, because the school was designed to focus on performance, it was lacking a lot of information on business. They teach you how to play, but they never tell you where to play and who to play it to get paid. They just teach you, if you have a song, here's how you play it. That's it. That's simple for people to understand what college is for. It's if you already have an objective that you want to achieve. They will show you technically to achieve it. But then after that, the sales, the marketing, you have to learn it somewhere else. It does not belong in school because there's no one in school have that information. And no one in school know how to do that. And even if you ask them, they will say no.
Yeah.
So right now in the market, even though I see the power of social media, and I know that you checked my profile out before we went on a talk, and I did check you too, to make sure that I know who am I talking to.
Yeah.
So my point is, even with social media, the reach is easy. But if the person that you are talking to do not hold any value, you will not spend your time on him. You will not spend any money on him. Or anything that relate to your connection. So for the kids like me to understand is, okay, you train with a piece of paper, great. But then what is the actual value that you are offering to the audience? Why are they coming up to you and listen to you? What do you have to offer? Because there's a million guys and gals out there can play the exact same song you're playing. Or even play much better than you.
Yeah.
And there's nothing can beat the MP3 files because that thing play perfectly every time.
Right. Yeah.
So I try to go deeper and deeper into why, when I come to Dominic, what is my pitch? What is my sell reason to tell Dominic that you should give my music a chance? Or even just come and see it? And most of us cannot answer that. We don't know why. We just say we love our music is great, But you just said it yourself. At the beginning, everybody sucked.
Yeah.
Your music might not be that great, but because it's your baby. So you like it so much. So you hold deeply to your heart. And you believe it is good. And then reality slap you in the face. And you're not that good, dog. You're not there yet.
Yeah. And that's why it takes time, right? It's also for you to discover what you have to offer. Like, what is your value statement, right? What sets you apart? What's your differentiator, right?
Correct.
Like, there's a lot of producers, there's a lot of players. Why would they want to work with this? And a lot of it is based on relationship, right? And word of mouth. It's how you work with people and how much trust that you build with them that, Dominic or whoever will take their vision to where they wanted to go, and it's delivered consistently. And one of the feedback that I get from the artists that I work with or the collaborators is it's like Dominic always takes it to the finish line, right? Where we, and I do it kind of on a professional level where I package what I do. Like whether if it's, the playlists that when we're collaborating, the playlists, when I deliver my files to them, or how I draw out my vision for them, to the part where we have contracts in place, right? Like before we start working, here's a split sheet. This is, you already understand who's going to own what, how much is going to get, you're going to get paid, how much percentage you're going to get. So it's like you feel comfortable. That you're not, so there's a lot of things that will bring value.
Because we have to be very concrete on the word value, because when it comes to value, people just say, I make people feel happy. I make them feel good. Dude, they can go down to McDonald's and get a Happy Meal. They're going to be happier than a kid. What are you talking about? The car hit much faster than the music.
Yeah.
So it is very vague term. So that's why I would love to ask every guest to actually think deep down on their work and come up with a proper answer for that. Because that will give me so much reason to respect you as a producer, that you actually have something that if I know I need that exact thing, I will come to Dominic, because I know that he stands for what he said and he understands how to do it. That is, I think, what differentiates all the great players. Is I'm specialized in this. And if you need that, I'm the best player you need. There's no one else can do that better than me. Instead of just going out and throwing, random value, happiness, sadness, like just going around throwing flying paper. I think that's more helpful. Does music influence your family? Does everyone in your family love music, or just you?
Yeah, they love music, to listen to music. As far as the process of making it, they can really care less, My little kids love playing with my gear and all that stuff. And they love hearing the process of a song. Like, a lot of times I'm working on something and that's all I listen to in the car, because I'm trying to find things that I can improve or correct, right? So they get to hear a lot of it. And but as far as like what I'm doing with music, it's just whatever. It's like whatever to them, right?
It sounds so boring, don't you think, when we're describing what is going on behind the scene? Everybody just see that 3 minutes highlight of the song is finished, but not the hours of editing to make sure the downbeat of that kick drum is right, or make sure that the harmony is working right. Everything is mixing, fading in the right spot. Nobody talking about that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not really sexy to talking about it, but I think there's a different person that do that really well and showcase it on the internet all the time that make us feel so intrigued to see more. Is cooks.
Yeah.
They show you the behind the scene before they plate you the food, and you love to see more of that, but not with us.
This is it's a kind of a hot topic for me right now. That's always in my mind. right now. Hey, hold on a second. I'm getting someone ringing my doorbell. Just 1 second.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Sorry.
No problem, no problem.
Sorry about that, man.
Oh, no problem. You gotta
Yeah.
make sure who is entering your house.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we were talking about is like the behind the scenes type of things, right? And I've been kind of talking a lot in my producer circle, right? Because right now, there's so many, like, making music is like almost kind of like anybody can do it now, you know, right?
So true.
Which is kind of sad, right? I mean, there's so many producers, so many players, so and anyone can make this dope beat or song. So I think where the producer lane is shifting to is like the producer now has to be the entertainer, meaning like people want to see how you made that song. And then the song itself or the beat itself is just whatever now. What they want to see is how you are making music, right? Like putting out the music, just putting it out there, it's not the value anymore. I think for a producer, you have to show how you're making it, right? Because you could just download a bunch of splice loops, put it together, and release it, right? And then it'll sound, contemporary, like trendy, right?
Decent,
Yeah.
avant-garde.
Yeah, right. But then I think you won't. You can still have I think where you set yourself apart is when you can show how you did it. And there's some like value people can learn. Like techniques from. I think that's kind of like where I'm trying to get to now, and that's why I've been working more on content, visual content of me working on making music, and then adding value, like teachable value to it. Where like, oh, that's how he's incorporating this and that. Like right now, I'm looking into how I could incorporate AI as a tool, not so much as a replacement of me, or artists that I work with, but as a unblocker of creativity, right? And as a tool, I look at it as when we first started sampling back then, right? Sampling was kind of like, man, like kind of looked upon as like, man, you're sampling. It's like, it was kind of frowned upon by musicians, right? Back then.
I feel so
Right.
guilty.
I mean, I felt that I kind of feel that way sometimes too. It's like, oh, it's just a sample, right? But I worked on a lot of like sample chopping and all that stuff until I understood the like clearing samples. The business side of it is when I stopped working on like samples, right? Because you lose so much control when you're using other people's work, right? Recorded work, right? You lose so much control on the rights, the ownership, and also how you make money. So I avoid just using samples in general. But then, yeah, it's kind of like that. AI is kind of like that. there's no regulations right now on it, right? So it's kind of like the wild, wild west as far as what it could do. So I'm really, really fascinated by AI, and I'm starting to see how it could like help me make music and, unblock my creativity. Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
educate me a little bit more about the sampling itself? Because
Yeah.
when you have, I use Ableton. So in Ableton
Yeah.
itself, it already have all the preloaded sample
Yeah.
pack. If I
Yeah.
use those sample pack and make a song with it, am I violating any copyright?
No, usually those those are what they call royalty free. Royalty free samples, which means you can you can use it and you can still monetize it. You can release it and get royalties for it. You can even get those find a sync placement, like that music that you create with it. It can you can make money, have it placed in shows, and you get ownership of it. But then there's going to be so many of those, right? Unless you change it, so you kind of lose kind of like a competitive advantage when you're using sounds that everyone has access to, right?
Does kind
Yeah,
of make like the music become more identical? Like everybody
yeah,
starts sound the same now because
yeah,
everybody's been using the same sample pack.
yeah. And that's what I'm saying. You kind of lose that uniqueness or like that competitive advantage when you're making your own, your sound designing yourself, right? Um, yeah, and that's why the really, really like successful, super dope producers is they have their own sound, right? Especially on the pop side. Hip hop, it's a little bit different where, it's more kind of like you want to sound similar to each other kind of thing, right? But in pop music, like I think the producers that are sound designing and incorporate live instruments. Yeah, like K-pop is insane.
It is.
K-pop production is wow, it's another level.
They are mixed.
Yeah,
They are mixing 3 songs in one, like
yeah,
3 different sections. This chorus, it's so
yeah.
many different things together.
And the majority of K-pop producers are like true players. Like they can play instruments, like for reals. Yeah, that's kind of like a superpower. Like a producer who can play instrument, who's an actual player, is a superpower. Yeah.
So where do you think the samples pack bring value to the creative process? When should we use sample and when should we record live?
It's really, there's no rule, right? It's whatever the call or vision calls for, right? I use samples and AI kind of as like I said, a creative unblocker. Like if I have a writer's block, I just listen to something and then it inspires me. And then there's people that make money as loop producers, right? All they do is loops, and then they sell those loops as royalty free, right? I know a few producers who are just loop producers. That's all they do is make chord progressions,
Oh,
melodies,
no way.
and then they use different sounds. They sound design, and then they sell those. But yeah, it's whatever the song calls for. There's no rules, right? I always feel like you can't really fake a guitar sound without sampling. Or like what I'm trying to say is when I have a song that has guitars in it, I always go to a live performer, like an actual player to execute it on the final stage. Like I may during production, I might use like samples, I might play it on the keyboard and get the demo out that way. But when I do the final product, the final, everything, I always go to one of my players, my guitar homies.
Yeah, I'm still in the
Yeah.
job. I'm still get
Hell yeah.
hired.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a bright future for me. I'm not get unemployed yet.
Nah, man. And plus, you can rock a show, so there's no replacement for a player playing live. You watching someone playing music live is still one of those things that's so dope.
It is so dope. And
Yeah, I wish I could play like that, man. Like,
I mean, you could. You just need to put in a little bit more, fancy clothes and stand up and playing. That's it. You're already making the beat. You're already pushing the fingers down to the keys. It's no different.
well, the difference is you can just do it effortlessly without thinking about it and look cool doing it.
Correct.
Right?
I don't say that in a
to,
disrespect way, but like when people said to you, like, man, this is so easy to do something, and they already mastered that, and they say it to someone that never done it.
it's all relative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really love to see the advancement of sound designing and how cost productive we can be to creating a prototype, like almost like, okay, I have an idea in my brain, I have my computer, I can hop on there using these sample and start putting my ideas together before I go to the final stage production. Like you said, you make an idea, you send it out for people to check it, they like it, then you take it back, then replacing the part that you want to have with live musician. In the past, the only way to making record in the 70 or 80 is having people in the studio and play. There's no other way. And the sad thing is this: I love my band, I love my player, I love the musician that I collab with. But here is the reason why I'm saying, and I'm asking you at the beginning, is when should we think of using sample and when should we think of hiring musician? Because musicians are people, and people need to eat and practice and sleep and rest to be able to perform.
Yeah.
So having live musician is the purest, but also the most expensive way to produce a sound.
Yeah.
Where everything right now on the market is digitalized. Everything is sampled. Everything is heavily remixed.
Yeah.
So right now, it sounds like to have a live musician on your record is almost like a luxury. Unless you are a band, get signed by a record label and already have the money in doing that. But for an independent artist to have live musician play on your track, I think that's just a little bit more like sparkle on top of the cherry.
Yeah. It's what we call, like, when they call it premium. Like when I submit music, like when I do a brief for a show, like a Netflix show, the creative director says, I'm looking for a hip hop track for this kind of scene. It's a love interest scene. The music has to be like this. It needs to have premium sound. And when they say premium sound, it's like not the cheapy, like Logic Pro.
Just MIDI, plug in.
Yeah. When they say premium, they're usually talking about like sometimes live, like really good quality synths and instruments, nothing generic. And it usually will call for like a player, like a live, like a bass player or a guitarist, horns, strings, like that. Yeah.
Do you prefer listen to kind of type beat music, or you love to listen to more of live recording music in your personal taste?
I love live music. I was in a band on the vocalist side, but I think it's so incredible that each person has a part and they're doing something different. But then when it's together, it just like it sounds like so dope, man. Like how like you're doing one thing and it feels a certain, and me talking in technical side feels like a range of frequencies, right? And then some other person is doing something else that fills another gap of the frequency range, and then all together it like paints like bam, like it's kind of crazy.
And many of my musicians complaining about when they try to learn a pop song, and they say, man, These beat makers, they don't know what they're writing, because what sounds cool on a beat sometimes could not be played by a player, because technically it was written in a way that very hard to play or almost impossible to play on the layout of the instrument.
Yeah.
So when it comes to composition, when you listen to music, I can start to figure it out when I listen to a song. I know, does this person understand composition or not? I started understanding, does this person know how to write a song that a real human band can come in and read and play?
A majority no. And I just recently learned proper I just recently just started understanding how to make a proper composition. You know, it was just, to me, it was like even the song structure, right? I didn't know proper song structure. And I've only known song structure based on studying music that's out there, right? And it's always kind of like the intro and blah, 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 you know, chorus. Only since I started investing more time in music theory, and started hanging out with more like musicians and players, that I started to understand a little bit more on composition, and studying like hits, like legitimate hits, right? Like number one songs and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
A lot of things I've found out is it's simplicity and spacing is very important. Not just throwing, you know, it's like each part has to be able to kind of like breathe, you know? Just stuff like that, where 90% of people making music really, it's not in their mindset.
No, not really. I think I know the reason why to that is because we can see the music now. Back then, Bach and Mozart don't have a computer where they can see their music be played back to them.
Yeah.
The only way they get their music to play back to them is they have to wait a week. On the weekend, when the church is together, the musicians are together, they go out, hand out the music sheet, and say, okay, this is my first time listening back to my composition. Play it.
Yeah.
And then some of them can play it, some of them cannot, and that is the only hours that he can have live feedback, understand where it's work, where it's not work, and then have to fix that immediately within a few days so he can submit his work before the deadline so the church can have the music to play it.
Yeah.
So I'm really admire how difficult it is at the early stage of music, composition of music, for these composers to make a symphony. 40 minutes worth of music that is 50 people are playing together. And they don't have the luxury to listen back to that all the time. So the only thing that they can do is sit down with their piano and then test out all the voicing and then try to imitate and think in the way of how does the violin is going to play this part, how does the bass player going to play this part, how does the organs player going to do this, how does the singer going to sing. It's just so in-depth of how to writing a good composing piece of music. It's not just, okay, I'm making a cool beat.
That's why when you asked me earlier if I can like score like it, I said hell no. You know, it's out of my scope.
Those are
right?
what make your song and our product become a classic, become timeless. It's because every generation, doesn't matter young or old, when they listen to that piece of composition, they feel it from inside out. They can hear all those frequencies running through their heads. I don't agree with people said, man, young people cannot listen to classical music. Of course they could not, because they listen to that on Spotify. When was the last time they go to a symphony orchestra and listen to the music being played live, where it's supposed to be played? If they went there and watch it, they're going to be blown away on how good it is.
Yeah, because you really feel it, right? You know, sound is vibrations through the air, right? Right? Like when a speaker plays something, it's the air vibrating and reaching your eardrum, and your eardrum vibrating, right? So imagine being in a symphony in a stadium or whatever, what they call it, just a different, like, each sound, each instrument vibrating differently. It's like you feel it in your soul, right?
That's
So
right.
it's like
It's
it's
just punch
different
you in
than
the
like
face.
putting in your AirPods, right? And having it on like your spatial mix sounds. It's totally different. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Now it's all about the how it hits you, right? Boom,
Yeah,
like
how heavy is the bass? I want that
like
808.
how it
Ugh.
hits you. It's a little bit different, right? Yeah. So
And if you think about it, 808 and all of those sub frequency, it's impossible for us to produce when we play it live. There's no way to produce such a sound like that live on any instrument.
exactly. Without, having a synthesizer, right?
Without synthesizer, without electronic, we cannot do any of that. And oftentimes, when you listen to that long enough, your ear get tired really quickly.
Yeah.
Like after, 5 or 6 songs, your ear's already done with this. But when you listen to natural music that made from, just an instrument that producing that sound, you can listen to that for hours and hours and you feel all right. You feel very in touch with yourself. You feel very peaceful. Listen to it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the music, like if you listen to like timepieces, right? All the modern commercial releases are very contained. And you can see it when you're like mixing and seeing the analyzers and stuff like that. Like the commercial pop is so contained, like in the frequencies, because it needs to sound as good as possible on all different media, right? Whether it's AirPods, monitor speakers, your car stereo, a TV, it needs to sound as good as possible on each of those medium. So they tailor the mixes to do that. And a lot of times you're like you're cutting off a lot of the frequencies. A lot of time you're dumbing down some frequencies so that it sounds as good as possible. It's really watered down sounding compared to like when you have a live recording, like what was I just listening to? Like Sade's like live performance on CD.
Oh, man, I love her.
It was like, damn, like CDs sound so much better than Spotify. Like
That's why Lexus still have the CD player inside their top tier Lexus 500.
Yeah.
They still have that instead of just Apple Play. It's because they said the CD sound much better than streaming or satellite.
It does because you're taking the full sound and not dumbing it down.
Have you ever have a chance to mix a song with live string?
Yeah. I've had some songs where I've had someone play like live strings. It's not a full kind of like what do you call those, like chamber strings or anything like that, but just like a cello and like a different maybe violin and some other ones, but nothing gigantic. But yeah.
I feel like what you learn in the process of learning and mixing live instrument and live performance is that you start to pay attention that we not compress as much.
Yeah, there's a lot of dynamics. Yeah,
as production in pop music. Because when you're looking at the finished product after you master the pop record, everything is the same level. Like it's all straight line, one shape, nothing changed. But then you have a vinyl of an old record that recorded in 1960 of a symphony orchestra. You will see hill and valleys all the time in the music.
Yeah. Yep. That is true. Even just in the composition, right? If the song is just like from the get-go all the way through, just like no dynamics of structure, it just looks like a straight thing, right? And I know some like music supervisors, because they got to listen to so many different songs, right? To choose one to fit a scene, right? What I hear from them is like they look at the waveform first, and then they see a waveform, and they see one that has like some dynamics. They go, "Oh, let me listen to that." But if they see just one line, like straight line, they tend to kind of just like not listen to it right away. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting to hear that from them.
But it's gonna take so much time in the production to adjust all of the sample pack for the hits gonna be different for all the dynamics. We're gonna take like a lot of time, even if we put on a randomizer to make sure that the dynamic is hitting different. But it's gonna take so much time to make it sound like a human. To make it sound close enough to a human that it doesn't sound like it's just some kind of keys that play back from a sample pack.
Yeah. That's why you can't really beat playing it right yourself.
That's what I learned from when I'm making my first album, Gem and Stone, is I try to make a live instrument record with sample. Mm-hmm. It took me so long every day. I spent at least 3 to 4 hours just to go in and adjust every individual note or the dynamic to make sure that it sounds as good as possible. But it's still turning out as, when I present it to my friend, I say, dude, this is clearly MIDI. What are you talking about?
I do have a question. Are you streaming live right now, or
No.
Okay,
You're recorded.
Okay. Are you able to play music and then I'll be able to hear it?
Oh yes, you can.
Is your setup that way? I'm gonna send you a link to something. It's a song that I just recently finished. It'll be released in July. But it incorporates like a live guitarist, a live horn player, a live bassist. But I did the drums, and I tried my best to make it sound like live drums. But I want to send you the link so you can listen to it. So this is unreleased.
Ooh, hot take.
How do I do it? Is there like a chat, like a?
You can send it.
Oh, yeah, here.
Yeah. You can send it inside the chat box.
Here. I don't know if you can see it there.
Yeah, I can see it.
And then I don't know if you can play it, and then I'll be able to hear it too while we're on.
Let's try. If you can hear, which means it will be available for everyone to hear it.
Okay.
Can you hear it?
No.
Okay. Because I do have a screen record on this, but it's only playback to me.
Okay.
Hold on.
Here, maybe let me try something real quick. I'm going to switch to a different mic real quick.
I see you cautious. You know I'm falling. No one gonna call it.
Yeah, it's vibing. You hear it? Oh, you don't hear it? Okay. Good. You can hear it. Now you can switch back to the other microphone so I can hear you.
So I played that through my sound.
So it sounds close, but the only thing that make it stand out that it's not a human is the hi-hat, the consistency of the hi-hat, and the drum feel at the ending.
Yeah.
Because often when drummer play with a hi-hat, they often lift up their foot on the last hi-hat to make it different.
Right. But so it's kind of like shows, like obviously it wasn't meant to come off as like a live band. It's definitely a produced type of track. And it was me bringing in the live players to replace the parts that I played before because I want to give it that dynamics. But yeah, it just kind of shows like how difficult it is to make something sound really live, right?
And I think to a regular person who is not trained and who is not play, they will barely distinguish what is live in that context, in the guitar string and drum playing that kind of beat. They will hardly have a distinguish between what is real and what is not.
Yeah.
Which is, you do a very fine job of making it seamlessly feeling like it's almost like a sound of a live band playing.
Yeah.
If you know the band Maroon 5, they're in Los Angeles, California.
Yeah.
Most of their stuff, when I listen to, it is live. But if you pay attention, oftentimes on all those records, even the drum is recorded well. The drum part recorded live well. They still inserting sample sound drum to make the drum thicker.
Yeah. They even sometimes, if they don't layer, they're sound replacing. There's actually some tools on the DAW that will identify the transients. So like the kick, it'll identify it's a kick, snare, and you can replace them with sample kick drums or sample snares, and it'll replace the actual recording.
Then why even have a recording session with a live drummer?
Because it's really the feel, right? So it'll just replace the sound, but it'll keep the feel, is what I'm trying to say. So it's like it really like you say, to layer on top of it to make it cut through the mix even more.
I think the reason why we're doing that is like we already know, is because our ear start to get used to the consistency of sounds that we have heard on the radio. The same sample pack, the same drum beat. If you want to make that kind of song, then you have to use that kind of drum beat, that kind of drum sound to make it sound like that. If your drums sound a little bit different, then you are considered as an indie band. You don't belong in that realm anymore. So to me, that's kind of kill of a lot of the spirit. When you listen to a record, like you can feel, okay, this was recorded in this time, in this room, with this player, with this people. Yeah. Because with sample pack is processed and clean. So it's just a sound, almost like a sine wave in a synth bath. Just like just like that. There's nothing soul to it. It's just there consistently, exactly when you want it.
Right.
And that's kind of kill a lot of the art of recording. Having an engineer inside the studio know how to work with microphone, know how the room frequency is working, know how to work with a mixing engineer that know how to process them together, know how the feeling of the player on that day is feeling. Because now, because of that method of producing, we are educating the listener to expecting the same thing when they go see an artist live. Why are you going to see someone live when you just want them to play the song back to you the way that you've been listening to it in the past 2 years on Spotify and YouTube? Yeah. It makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I respect like K-pop a lot for like pop, right? Because they put on a big show, right? And they perform live, like they don't lip sync and stuff like that. It's kind of crazy.
It's kind of incredible to see them dance, play, and sing. I'm saying, like, how are you doing all of this?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man.
I think in America we only have a few people that can do that. On top of my head is James Brown, Prince, and Michael Jackson. That ever dance hard, play hard, and sing hard.
Yeah, because that's the label. The label, what do you call this? Label, the way the labels function here has changed over time, and it's so much different. It's kind of reverse in Korea, right? Where in the K-pop industry, the labels, they invest in artist development, right? They find people and then they develop them into the artists that they want, right? They spend so much money and time. Like I heard there's like academies for artists in Korea, and they choose from the people who excel the most or the best in these academies. Versus now in the US, the labels, they won't even mess with these artists until they see that they have a big social media following, right? It's like they want these people that have millions of followers already before they even bring them into the label, right? And they don't develop the artists.
No.
And that's why we don't have like US performers, as many US performers that are like these other like global performers, right? Because they're not developed like in other countries, in other industries. And that's why, like, except for different genres, right? Like where like country music, right? It's like they're really, really good performers and good players, and it's like a different type of show versus like a track, and then you're just performing to a track, and like pop, pop and hip hop and stuff like that. It's all track, right?
That's why at the beginning it's so fun to kickstart our conversation with how do we do it in the US a little bit more differently. They just get signed by record, because that's kind of stalled out right now. Nobody want to sign with record label anymore.
Yeah.
And as you just stated yourself, the Korean people already figured that out. It's to be able to have an artist that is good enough to be worldwide level, to be classified as qualified musician. They need time, effort, and money.
Yeah.
They need to have the resources that they need to develop the skill that they wish to pursue.
Yeah.
Of course, when those artists sign with those like labels, they have their own term of advancement and stuff like that. Still the traditional game, but just easier and more time giving.
Yeah.
However, I'm not signing to a record label. So I'm forced to figure out another way on how I'm going to make my dough to develop my skill until I can be qualified as world-class performer.
Yeah.
How are we going to do that? The big question is right there. And many artists, including yourself, just say, you got to get a job until you get the dough to develop yourself wherever you want to be. But like to me at the beginning when I stated, that's just nonsense. Because if you compare yourself with the Korean performers, they spending 10 hours a day practicing, learning, and developing. You working at a job 8 hours and then only spend 3 hours of practicing. In 5 years, they already world-class level. You are still somewhere down the line with the genre of music that you want to pursue. And it's already outdated by the time that you advance to world-class performer. There's already 3 generations ahead of you already trained for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
So the time-wise is not making sense at all. You might be dead before you even be successful if you go down that path. So that's why I'm saying, like, I want to have people that are already on that route, like you are, telling me where you have succeed and where you have stumbled, so we can come together and say, okay, maybe our game plan need to be switch up a little bit. Need to be modified a little bit. We have to have a better way doing this. Because
there's not like a one way to do it, right?
No, there's never.
And that's
why
it's good that you are talking to people, because you want to see how each person is doing it, and maybe take little pieces the way they're doing it might work for me, and then do your own way, right? Some people can go like full steam ahead, just all music, nothing else, right? But if you have responsibilities like having a family and stuff like that, then you got to find a way to do both. And that's what I'm doing.
I want to ask you that so much because I'm going to get married soon, I hope. Maybe at the end of next year. And I would love to know how you handle a family and a professional career at the same time. Love versus career. Classic story.
Yeah.
So when it comes to married, when did you get married? And were you on your hobby at that time, like music, full time, and then you get married?
Yeah, no, I got married in 2008, and I was still kind of trying to do the music thing. And I did it for maybe two years after being married, until I stopped completely. And now, I'm married. I have 3 kids.
Let's go!
One is going to go and be in high school, and then my youngest is going in kindergarten next year. So it's like young kids, right? And you know how much time and money it takes to raise a kid, especially in California, Northern California. And that's the reason why I work on music 4 a.m. to 6 to 8 a.m., right? It's because you need to be able to separate it, right? And if you, like some people say, I just don't have the time, right? If you're really serious about it, you will find that time, right? And that's how I took it, is like, now I'm feeling like it's serious. I need to find time, whatever time it is. So you just gotta make some sacrifices, right? And for me, waking up earlier initially felt like a sacrifice, but now it feels so good to be up when nobody is up. And then to get work done while people are just barely even waking up. It's like, it feels so good to be like up early and getting things done before anybody's like really starting their day. Wow. And then you feel like you have so much time later on to do other stuff. It's such a great feeling, dude. So I mean, if you're able to, I recommend like waking up very early.
Man, I feel so guilty when you say waking up early. I need to fix my sleeping schedule. I need to get
So I also sacrifice staying up late, right? I try to fall asleep no later than 10 p.m., right? So I'm not there watching Netflix. I'm not there like on my phone looking at social media. I try to cut it off so that I can fall asleep at a decent time. So those are still just adjustments that I've made. Before I'd like to stay up and watch movies and things like that, or hang out. But like I said, if you're really trying to do it seriously, there's some things that you're going to adjust in your life to make it happen, and that's just one of the ones that I've made adjustments to. Yeah.
As a father, I understand that you have responsibility that you cannot quit. Like taking care of your family and be there for your family. Those are things that you have to take on as a father. And I respect that. I think at the end of the day, there's no better thing for a man to do than actually have a family and figure out how to become the provider for his family. At the end of the day, the biggest value of a man is to be able to sustain himself and provide for his family, protect the future.
I think just, naturally, that's what we're wired to do, right? I think that's what God put us on this earth to do. So, it's only natural for me.
But don't you think the culture is persuading young people like me to do the opposite way? Don't get married early. Yeah, young culture. Don't get married soon. Make as much money you can, and then just go out and roam free like a wild Mustang. Why time down when you can make, with so much money and have all this luxury in the world?
Yeah, because our value priority scale has changed so much recently, right? Where what you see as success is different than it is now, right? It's changed so much. I think there's a little bit of recalibration happening too. I've seen some of the younger folks that I talk to seem to be a little bit more like conservative sounding than maybe a few years ago, where now family is kind of being more important. So that's good to see. But yeah, it's just how, the society has changed the value scale, right? Where what we measure success and how to get there has changed so much in the past few decades,
How does it feel to you the day that you say to yourself that I'm going to marry this woman and create a family? What was the thought inside your mind on that day? What made you feel so sure that I'm going to be able to pull this off?
The funny thing is when I didn't even have to think about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, I didn't sit there and think, about it. It just felt right, kind of thing. So that's when I knew it was, the right time to get married and with this person. is when I didn't have to think about it. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Like,
yes.
yeah, okay, yeah.
You listen to your heart.
Yeah. You listen to your heart, your gut, your instincts, and if it just feels right, then it feels right.
Because I want to ask you that because right now, statistically, we're speaking at this moment, the divorce rate is still higher than 50% in the U.S.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you from someone that is a father of 3 children and having a lovely wife, standing strong, firm for his business. Listen to your guts and heart alone. No need outside information and become successful like this. What is your secret? How do you do it?
Well, you can't be a quitter, first of all, right? You got to be kind of selfless about it. It's you need to be willing to compromise that, right? That you kind of lose, or when you, it's like 2 people becoming 1 person kind of situation, right? When you get married, there are sacrifices that you have to, both sides have to take, right? But you just have to want to fight for something, I guess, because people divorce because it gets hard, the relationship gets hard, right? And they just don't have the courage to fight for it, I would say. Obviously, there's always different scenarios, right? But I feel like people, there'll be less divorces if people are willing to fight for it. You know what I'm saying? And endure it, I guess, right?
The word endure
so.
is bad to a young mind because I was having a lot of rabbit hole drive down to the culture lately. There's 3 kind of philosophy on the market right now. It's either we traditional, we all in like you and I, but we go down something, we go for it. No way out, no backing out. But the other 2 somehow gain very favor on social and in real life too. Is even though God teaches us when you get married, you guys become one. Your thoughts, your action, and your future. All of them will become one direction. However, there's an idea that is still available on the market when it comes to young couples want to marry each other but still hesitate on putting the pen down and sign a contract, is that they worry that they're going to lose their individual identity.
Yeah.
What is your thought on that? Do you feel like you get compromised of who you are when you get married?
Not compromised. I feel like it's more of like a transformation, right? It's not that you lose your individuality. Obviously, you can't do some other things that you maybe used to be able to do, but I don't think it's losing if you're losing your individuality, like your partner doesn't let you be who you are, then that's something you guys have to work on, obviously. But I think some people rush into marriage too quickly, right? I think you need to be able to spend some time with this person first before, and make sure that your values are aligned first. I think that's the main thing, is your values have to be aligned before you get into marriage. And then part of those values is marriage is like a lifelong commitment thing. It's like an unbreakable commitment, right? You have to kind of go into it that way, where it shouldn't be like a business investment, right? To get your taxes like all.
Get your taxes right.
Yeah.
Make sure you sign your prenup.
You don't go into it as a business agreement, right? It needs to be kind of like a spiritual and type of union, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And you can't approach it like a business plan where if it fails, then you have an exit clause or you have like a way to get out, right? Yeah, it's that's just how I approach it. And
I'd agree.
yeah,
I'd agree on that. I feel like that thought, that way of thinking is very damaging to real relationship. It's like, okay, on face value, I might like Dominic in the first few minutes. But then when we go to harder topic that are more sensitive, topic that are more, insult in a way that I'm asking you or you asking me, we could not stand our ground and keep our cool to listen to each other point of view on why we have that point of view.
yeah,
And we always say, man, if I can't stand this guy, I'm gonna run away. I'm not gonna stay here with this man. And I feel that's not the way to live. Because there's no rainbow that's gonna run forever that will never end. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be a stopping point somewhere, or someday that the mood is not right, or somebody says something stupid, and we get into a fight, and we have to learn on how to deal on that, how to see through, not just the struggling on that day, but understand why I'm here with Dominic. I know that he might say something that make me mad on that day, but I know who he is deep down. I know that he don't have no harm intention. So maybe we, get a little bit of heat on that day. We stop talking on that day, but the next day when we both cool down, I have the courage to come over to you and ask you, what was happening yesterday? Did I do something that makes you feel a certain way?
yeah,
We'll be able to work
exactly.
it out,
Communication, right? You
Correct.
need to have the communication and trust. The trust meaning this person isn't doing this or saying this because they have ill intentions towards me. It's just because of that's how they thought or felt, right? And if you have that trust in each other, that it's not personal or then you're good. And if you have that maturity to move on, then
I think oftentimes all these back out plan is rooted in insecurity, in childhood trauma, something that they have hurt in the past, that they haven't find a reason to heal themselves or find someone to help them go through that. So when they see a similar scenario, the best way to get out of it is flight instead of fight. Because fight, they know they're going to lose because they haven't had the reason to heal it. So everybody signing contract out here, prenuptial contract, clauses, or anything, is they're choosing to flight.
Yeah.
They're not.
That's why I said earlier,
fight.
you need to be willing to fight for it, right?
So what is the cause? What is the reason for someone to say, man, I'm going to fight with this stranger to the end of time. I'm going to be with you side by side.
Yeah.
And that is hard to find, like that personal reason.
Yeah.
How many people have sat down and talked deeply to themselves before they get married is, I'm fall in love with this lady or fall in love with this man, is because she had this value that I believe in it, the vision that I believing in, and the future that we think that we both can be together and achieve it. Not many people doing that nowadays. They fall in love too fast with their eyes and ear.
Yeah. Yeah. Not too many people will stand on their values and go against everybody else, right?
And that's affecting the way we write the music too, Dominic. It's like when you listen to Sade, when you listen to Your Love Is King, when you listen to Smooth Operator, when you listen to all those classic, the story that she's telling us is very personal. Like something that she went through by herself. Deep down in her, she all in for that love story. And that's why she get that story out, that love story. That's how she come up with the song. Everybody nowadays writing song to catch up with trend. Writing song that they haven't even experienced. Like how sad can you be when you are 21? You haven't done shit.
And that's why like current music right now, like it doesn't have the same effect like music back then. Like when I listened to music back then, I always kind of feel like that time period, right? Like when I listen to some songs, I'm like, man, I remember this song makes me feel like when my dad used to pick me up at school. Then we'd stop by 7-Eleven and pick up like a Slurpee or something like that. It kind of makes you remember like a period of time in your life. Whereas music now, because they all just sound so similar, like you can't really say, oh, I remember listening to this song and I feel like this. It doesn't have that same effect. You know what I'm saying?
What song does bring a lot of nostalgic feeling to you now?
Like a lot of the Beach Boys stuff for some reason. Yeah, the Beach Boys, the Bee Gees, things like that. Because my parents listened to that a lot when I was a kid. Prince. When I listen to Prince music, it really brings back a lot of stuff for me. Yeah.
Does music play an important role in your life outside of work? Like as a listener, as an art enthusiast, does music bring value into your home?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah. Music is, it's a mood setter, right? It's a mood setter, and it could be a attitude adjuster, right? That's why people listen to certain kind of music when they want to work out. Some people listen to, like Baroque music when they're trying to focus or things like that. It plays a big role.
How does your world gonna look like without art, without music, without all the creative? Do you think you would want to live in a world like that when there's just no art?
No, man, no. Because there's just no release, no expression, right? Because art is an expression, right? And when you can't express yourself, you just kind of feel a little dead, a little mundane. So, I think art is a necessary part of life. If you want to live.
You want to live, then you gotta express.
Yeah.
That's a very common term in America, the word expression.
Yeah.
And we live by that word. We do it daily. And I love America for that particular reason. You have something to say, you gonna say it. First Amendment, free speech.
Yeah.
You have something to say, you do it. However, I did not come from America. I'm not a native. I come from Vietnam originally.
I could tell, yeah.
So I felt the feeling of being the underdog of a third world country, and I know how does my life was looking like back then when there was no art in my life.
Yeah.
Because we were broke. We got no money. So we don't have the luxury to experience art at any level.
Yeah.
Maybe, listen to a few songs at a barbershop or at a cafe or something like that. But never have indoor music, record, CD player, all the fancy stuff that we have here. And in a world like that, the world of survival, the kids grow up to be a very negative person. They always look into the world of like, I cannot love a stranger. Compared to someone that study literature or art, they grow up with a bigger heart. I know that you can hurt me, but I'm still loving you anyway.
Yeah.
Because that's what we need.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the reason why we should have art in all school. And even though we try to cut all of that out of our school right now, which is kind of sad.
It is kind of sad. It is. Yeah. And it's sad in that way. It's also, and that's why I kind of feel like it's our responsibility as parents or uncles or aunts or whatever, big brothers, sisters, to kind of continue teaching, exposing music to like the younger people, right?
I feel like people don't understand the difference between music that are candies to your ear and music that actually build you a perspective. When you listen to Bob Marley music is not pop music. It's preach music.
It is, yeah.
You listen to a man preaching you a message. And you listen to his music, and even his band members said the way we work with him is like we're reading the Bible every day, we study together, we get fit, we practice, and we carry a deep message to the people that we play it to. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We're not entertaining no one. We are no clowns.
Well, isn't music, the earliest forms of music was to worship, right? To worship some kind of God, right?
That's right.
It was a way to worship. So, I mean, it's only natural that he went about it that way, right?
Correct. But are we doing it right now, though? Are we anybody sing about Jesus nowadays? Or the devil gonna set you free?
Yeah, no, we're really, the topics are quite different, right? It's worshiping other things.
That's right. You're worshiping something that is produced by someone else beside God.
Yeah.
And it's kind of boring to the young people to listen about God, study why we doing a certain thing, right or wrong. It's just not catchy. Just keep it in simple terms. It's not catchy to a 16-year-old to talk about God. But it's much more cool to talk about Gucci and Lamborghini. Those kind of things are more attractive to them than God.
Yeah. Well, when we're young, we feel immortal, right? It's only when you start to feel your mortality is when you start really thinking about God. And, when you feel like, you're only on this earth for a set period of time and you need to, what happens next kind of situation, right? So I think that's one part of it is like the kids feel immortal, like.
I think the end of the day, as a brother, as a father, as a public figures to all our listeners, I think our job as artists, the people that make art, producing art, live the art, that's what I'm standing for. Making the art to me is just like putting on the clothes. I haven't go anywhere yet. I need to go somewhere. When I listen to a record or when I make a record, I want the listener to listen to it and then do something about it. I want you to embark on my message. I want you to go out and live that lifestyle and actually see the different perspective that I want you to see and gain different material value in lives. I want you to listen to my music and 10x your money. I want you to listen to my music and your family become more close. I want you to listen to my music and say, you know what? All my belief system has been wrong. And I know why it has been wrong. That is the reason why I want to make music, is to be able to create true impact. Not for the fun. People misunderstood of seeing material stuff as success, like right now. If you're making it, if you have a Bentley, if you have a Rolls Royce, if you have a Corvette, it stands for success. But how many of us actually understand what is going on behind the scene of all these artists? All of them are in debt to get the money to go rent all of this stuff for music video. Who's talking about that? Who's actually being real? They're talking about that 50K chains that they wear on their neck. It's not actually their money. It's actually the record label money. But for the music video, it's not look good because it's not flashy. But remember, brother, why should people come to you? You can be the flashiest guy right now, but 5 minutes later will be another guy with a bigger chains on a bigger loan coming out and flop you down.
Yeah.
So it's not real reason for audience to come to you. They just come to you because you do something ridiculous. It's just what it is. So for me as an artist, I want to educate myself and people to understand that art is important to life. But you have to make sure when you're doing it, you can give your listener, people that pay you respect and money, the reason why they should listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Time is valuable. They spend 2 hours to listen to your stuff. Your stuff better holding something good. And I want that to get that reaction from Dominic. When Dominic see my music, Dominic say, "Yup, I'm willing to take out 30 minutes of my day to listen to his album from A to Z. Because I know that he's gonna pack something in there that I need to listen to." Same thing with Dominic. I would love to see his stuff. And I know that Dominic gonna put something in there that I might learn something out of it. I might get some value out of it, more than just a cool beat. Because AI gonna come over and make a million cool beats faster than you, better than you, and more cheaper than you. It will get into a point where beats will become like vending machine. We can go to a site and, pay $2 to get a beat and then sing on it.
Yeah, it's kind of there already, yeah.
It is. We're already there. So right now, all of us are in a very cool era. Right now, our identity is getting reframed. Right now, our job is to figure out why are we doing this? And why does that reason matter in the next 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it going to be something that people will like compared to all these advancement in technologies? Why are we still available for them to get the value they need that they cannot get somewhere else?
Yeah, that's a hard thing to think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to figure it out.
Yes, sir.
Or else, like for me, and if I don't figure it out, then I'm going to be doing the same thing again.
That's right. You're going to quit it again,
music.
sir. And I don't want you to quit the music. Don't quit on music.
That's funny. Yeah.
Miles Davis say that if you take care of the instrument will take care of you.
Yeah.
Don't give up.
Yeah, man. I do have to bounce soon.
Yes, sir. I appreciate your time today, Dominic.
Yeah.
Can you please send me some of your video, like the best of your production, so I can put together an introduction video to this podcast today that we're talking about?
Yeah, definitely. A video of like me making them?
Yeah, you making music so I can tell the audience who you are.
Yeah.
Who are we talking to today?
Yeah, man. I'll send you. I'll respond to your email with like a Google Drive with some content on there.
I appreciate it, Dominic. Appreciate it being with me today. Man. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, my friend.
How do you say your name properly?
Weemai.
Weemai. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Weemai. Okay. Well, it was great talking with you, man, and thanks for reaching out.
Yes, sir.
And enjoyed my time talking to you, man. Just you're a real dude, man.
I appreciate it, Dominic. That's the biggest compliment I need to hear. Is I'm a real human.
Yeah, you're a real dude, man. It's not. I didn't know what to expect really. I thought we were just gonna be talking about music and social media type stuff, but we talked about some real life type of topics, which I can appreciate. So thank you for that.
Yes, sir. And I would love to have you being on this podcast again a few months from now or a few weeks from now. If you have a topic you would love to present.
Yeah, I think we should, I'd love to come back. I think we should talk about AI as it develops, man, because I think that's going to be a really big part of the music scene. Like,
no way. I think it's going
to change so many things.
That's going to be fun.
Let's track it, and then let's discuss it as it evolves and develops, and how it affects us as musicians.
Now you know how we roll. Now you know how we laid out. I feel like next time you can come prepared. Like you can have all the files ready. You can share the screen with me. Like on this Google Meet, you can share the screen. on what you
Okay.
work on your computer, so the audience will see what is the
Okay.
AI that you are talking about.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
without that, it's just you and me, and people don't know what are we talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
All right, Dominic, have a good day, sir. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good one.